Day on Hines Barbecue. It's about a little after 5 a.m. Just got the pit fired up. Gonna do our first brisket cook today. Also gonna throw in some beef shanks. Come along with us, see how we do it. Well, good morning. It is about 6 o'clock now. So, we've got the brisket. Super excited to finally get this guy on and start cooking. Been wanting to do kind of a bigger cut of meat and see how the pit does with something a little bigger. We've also got some beef shanks, which is pretty awesome because I've never done those. And I'm thinking about maybe smoking these guys for a little bit and confying them to see if we could maybe make some type of like a barbacoa or something like that, but we'll see how the day goes. Trying new things out. Don't want to do too much with this, so just kind of going to be focusing on the pit today and trying to figure out how it cooks. We're running hickory and a little bit of red oak. This hickory's pretty green, I just got it, so we might have a little bit of trouble with that, but just gonna have to give it a go and see what happens. So let's take a look at the meat. All right, so we got our brisket wrapped up in cling wrap or saran wrap. And the reason why I did this, I don't want to lose any extra moisture out of this brisket. I rubbed this thing down in soy sauce, and then we've got 16 mesh black pepper. What else have we got on here? Seasoned salt, and I think that's it. So really super simple kind of rub on this one. Didn't do anything crazy. I didn't do the best job trimming this guy up. It was kind of a little bit of an odd shape to it when I got it out of the cryovac, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't look bad. So, and it hasn't pushed out a lot of moisture, which makes me pretty happy. So yeah, but there it is. Nothing special. Besides the meat, you know, was kind of expensive. This thing came in at $137. So, and this is choice grade, but I'll post some pictures up and you'll be able to see the marbling inside of this. For choice grade, it's pretty good. So yeah. Next we've got our beef shanks, and I'm really excited to do these. I've never done them, and yeah, so kind of we've got my rub on this, which is some orange peel, 16 mesh black pepper, kosher salt, and a couple other spices and seasonings kind of thrown in there that I think balances out with beef really good. Gives it a really beefy flavor. So yeah, really looking forward to getting these on there and just spending some time cooking on the new pit. So I think we've also came up with a name for the pit. So because it's big and white, we're gonna call it ZEUS. So that's the pit name. Let's get this stuff put on. All right, and there's our little brisket. So this side's running a touch bit cooler. So we're gonna take our big end and put it towards that end, kind of right there in the very middle of the smoker. And yeah, that thing is pouring smoke out. Get our beef shanks. Get those guys on here as well. Put them up front here on each side. And here we go. We're gonna do one other thing. I'm gonna spray these guys down with some water, because I think when you're first doing this, and we've got a big water pan in here, we've got a 5-gallon water pan in there. I think having extra moisture on your meat helps to collect that first bit of smoke and really sets the smoke flavor a lot better. It's something I've been playing around with, and I did it on ribs, and it made a huge difference. So we're gonna wet everything down in there real good. There we go. You don't want to spray anything so bad that you're washing your seasoning off. You just want to get everything nice and wet. And all this is just water. It's filtered water. There's no chlorine or anything in it. I think using really good clean water is a really smart thing to do. But yeah. And as far as the temps go right now, we're at 117 right here and 162 over here. It's the first time I've seen a big split difference in temperature on this pit. And I think what it is we've got a north wind coming up, and it's pushing up the firebox and kind of keeping this end down here a little hotter, which is the first time I've seen that. So maybe something I might have to adjust for if we've got this thing on a trailer. But let's let these get a little smoke on them, and we'll check in on them. so we found the first small thing with the pit that I kind of want to look at. What we've got going on is from end to end, we're at 232 here and we're at 199 here. And that's kind of a big swing for this thing compared to what it was running at. And I wonder if just the cold meat is pulling almost 30 degrees out of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the brisket and everything up to the front rack and see if it drops that temperature by 30 degrees. If it does, and I know it's just the meat doing it. If not, then we'll have to look into what's going on, because when I ran this thing with nothing in it before, it would typically run within about 7 degrees end to end. So we're gonna move the meat around and see if it causes the temperature to readjust better. And I'm just curious to see if that is something that it's dropping the temperature that much. So let's move it around. All right, cool. So we got the meat moved. We'll see if the temperature fluctuation changes or if we get any better temperature kind of shifting around in there. It may be that that big chunk of meat, 13, 14 pounds of cold brisket is going to drag that temperature down. 30 degrees seems a bit excessive to me. So we'll see what it does. We'll check back on it probably another hour and see what it's kind of re-regulated to. So, all right. So we still got a temperature differential on this thing. It's not as bad. 230 to 260, it's still a 30-degree split, which is a little more than I like. I don't know what's caused it to kind of run this way. It didn't do this in any of the initial startup cooks that I ran. It was running about 7 degrees from end to end. So I don't know. We'll go back and look at a couple of things and see if we can figure out kind of what's going on with it. I played with the damper some a little bit and it has adjusted it, but not as much as I feel like it should. So, but this is the first kind of big cook that we've done on it. Really ramped this thing up, got everything super warm. I mean, everything's up to temp all the way down to the legs. So, but it's putting the bark on the brisket really, really good. Almost too good. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so we're getting a lot more color over here on this edge. If I flip this guy up, you can kind of see it's actually starting to burn a little bit. And it is very hot on that underside of that brisket. So what I'm going to do is probably scooch this guy around and let the other side of the point hang out down here towards the firebox, and maybe even back this rack up some. Nice thing about these racks is I can slide these guys back a little bit. So we're going to adjust that and see if it makes a big difference here. There we go. And we're going to move our little shanks back on the back side. While I've got this guy open, it's looking a little dry. So we're just going to hit it with a little bit of water. Keep those hot spots cool. And to help that smoke stick on there. So, but all in all, it's cooking pretty good. So I may even move this thing further back on that back rack. Just to get it in a good spot. It's kind of the further away I am from that front edge, the better off I'm gonna be. So, yeah, something like that looks good. Thing is already really jiggly. Look at that. All right, cool. All right, guys, so we've been on about 7 hours now. I've opened this thing up a couple of times, sprayed it in with water real good, just trying to get that smoke to sit on there. Smoker's kind of equaled out a little bit. We're still looking at about a 20-degree temperature difference, so it may just be the way this thing's going to run, because we're 250 here, 225 over here, so about 25 degrees, which is not terrible. But let's take a look at this thing, get some temps, see how close we are to wrapping. Ooh, man, look at that. That thing is crazy good looking. So we're looking pretty good here. Let's get some temps and see where we're at. Yeah, still super tight. 148 or 155 in the flat. Way up in the point. We're 164, 165. So we're like coming into the stall, but I mean, we're still super tight. We're 163, 161. So I'd say it's probably time to wrap. We're close enough anyway. We might give it a little bit longer, and we'll see how we're doing. All right, we were able to get some good temps on there. We're right there approaching where I think we need to wrap it. I'm probably going to let this go for probably another, we're running at 255, 260 right now, so we're going to go ahead and bump that heat up a little bit. We're going to probably let that run for another 15 or 20 minutes. It's going to be time to wrap. Fat render looks good. The bark's almost there. I'd like it to set a little more, so that's why I think I'm going to give it maybe another, possibly another 30 minutes to really get that bark set good, and then I think we'll go ahead and wrap it. So we'll jump back to that when we get ready. All right, guys, so we just checked on it. We're probing about 168 to 170, kind of all over right there in the middle. We're at like 168, 167, so it is time to wrap this thing up. So let's get after it. All right, got our butcher paper down. We got some South Chicago Packing Company. We got a little bit of beef tallow left in here, so we're just gonna spread that around on here, grab the brisket, throw it on here, and wrap it up. So not anything too crazy. The main reason why I'm putting this tallow down is I just want something to wet this paper so it doesn't soak up all the juice from the brisket. So if we put this stuff down on the paper, kind of just help out a little bit. I don't know if this really makes a huge difference, but it definitely doesn't hurt anything. And I had it laying around anyway, and it was a gift for Christmas, so I didn't really have to pay for it. And it's just been kind of hanging out on top of the fridge, so it works really good for doing this. So just get that rubbed in there really good. So the pit has run pretty good. The temperature's kind of started to stabilize on it. It's a lot better. So it's not as tight as it was when I was first running it, but I just think that's because there were a couple of different things in there that were causing it to run, you know, super perfect. So who knows, but let's get this brisket. Oh my. Yeah. Look at that thing. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. All right. Let's see here. I think we're going to set it like that. Yeah. All right, and just to give you guys a close-up there, that's what it's looking like. And I probably could have let this go a little longer, get a little bit more bark on it, but my temperature, I don't really want to push it too hard and push a lot more of the moisture out. But the fat's pretty well rendered. You can see it kind of breaking up. That's what you're really looking for. So, pretty happy with it. Like I said, it could probably cook a touch bit longer, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it, just kind of see what we can get. So, yeah. Little off. Little off. All right, brisket's wrapped up. I'm not putting it back on the smoker. The main reason is because this wood is not cheap, and I can throw it in the oven and control the temperature. It used to be I could control the temperature better in the oven versus the little black smoker. Not on this thing. I can get this thing within 5 degrees wherever I want it, but the wood is really costly, and I've also got stuff I got to get done around the house. So I'm sure Jesse Hall will have something to say about this in the comments. So just keep a look at those comments and wait for it to pop up. So there we go, Jesse, just for you, buddy. But there's still one other little snack on here, and that would be our beef shanks. These things are actually doing pretty good. This one's getting pretty tender. This one's still a little tough. I've got still a whole firebox full of wood in there. So we're just going to let this burn out. Hopefully these guys get tender. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these. So we're going to hang on and just kind of wait and see what happens. I might turn them into a sandwich, might confit them. I don't know yet. We'll see here in a minute. So yeah. All right. So it's way past my bedtime again. It's 9 o'clock, maybe a little after. So yeah. But the good thing is everything with this brisket went according to plan. The smoke went good. The wood worked pretty decent. I was happy with the way the smoker worked for the most part, especially for something really new. We ran this 8.5, almost 9 hours on the smoker. Then it went into the oven. We brought this up to an internal temperature of 192 to 195 is about where it was proven at. And then I started the rest on it because it felt pretty good. It was a little tight on the bottom, but I figured that would loosen up. And we're gonna find out here in a second whether that was true or whether I overcooked it. It's really gonna suck if I did, because this thing was expensive. But that's how you learn. So we did a rest. We did a 3-hour rest on this, which is one of the longer rests that I've done. And I pretty much just took it, stuck it back in the oven, and just let it come down naturally its own way. I watched the carryover on it. The carryover went to 198, 199. So not a whole lot of carryover on it. And when I put this in the oven, we ran it at 375 degrees for probably about 4.5, 5 hours. So yeah, so that's kind of the whole rundown on what happened after we took this off the smoker. So I'm extremely interested to see how this one turned out, because it did feel a little tight on the bottom, but I don't know if that's undercooked or overcooked. So with no further ado, let's open this thing up. Well, at least the paper didn't stick to anything. Yeah, it still feels a little tight on the bottom. It's kind of jiggly. It's got a little jiggle to it. But, yep, definitely feels a little tight on the bottom still. Which, is what it is, so nothing much we can do about that now. So, all the edges feel good. The fat's nice and rendered. I mean, you can just punch your finger right through it. Perfect fat render. Yeah, just kind of little worried about the bottom there, but we can't worry too much here. So I was actually smart enough this time to put a pan under everything and save some of the tallow. Oh, that is beautiful. Such a happy little brisket. All right, let's quit messing around and get after it. Let's see here. This guy kind of shaped up a little differently, so I'm gonna say about right there where we want to make our cut at. All right, let's see what we got. Boom. Yeah, it's a little tight still down on the bottom. It's not terrible. The fat is rendered really well. So you can kind of see that yellow amber color in the fat. So coming along pretty good there. And yeah, so it's a lot of seam fat in there, and it rendered pretty well for as thick as it was. So I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, and that's what the bottom looks like. Not like a whole lot of bark there. Like I said, it's a touch tight, but not a whole lot we can really do about that. I'm not super upset about it, but what I'm really ready for is to have a bite. So let's knock this off here. Ooh, very nice. Let's see what we get. It sucks because you guys can't see me eat it because of the way the camera's set up. Sorry about that. But, I mean, that's what the bite looks like. Huh. It's really good. It's super, it's rich. It's not overly rich, but certainly rich. See how it kind of lays across there. So like I said, that bottom's a little tight, but that's what we're looking at. Not terrible. Let's try this lean. See how it tastes. Besides it being a little, I think it's a little underdone. Probably should have ran this a little higher in the temperature range to get this to cook a little more, the lean side. But all in all, I'm not super upset with it. It definitely, I need to get more salt penetration into the meat. The bark has really good flavor on it, but there's not a lot of anything else inside the meat because I did things a little differently on this. But yeah. All right, and then last but not least, the beef shank. And I've already cheated and had a little piece of this, and it is really, really good. I don't know why I'd never heard of this, but the bone marrow just kind of melts down in this, and it is absolutely delicious. And I mean, this stuff just kind of falls apart. But I mean, look at that. Oh, it's a beautiful little nugget. We got burgers for dinner. So I'm gonna just take a little bite because I'm super full. I'm telling you, the beef shanks, cook these things like you do a brisket, pork. They're really good. All that bone marrow just kind of fuses in there, and it picks up smoke really good. This has got just a lot of flavor. So super happy with these. Definitely gonna try to do more of these again. All right, so there it is. Brisket cook in the books with the first smoke. Super happy with the smoker. It had a couple of small things we had to work out, but I knew that was gonna happen, and there will be a lot more things that we'll fine tune on it. The fire blocks definitely need some more work as far as ash and coal management. We're gonna have to put another grate in there, and we're gonna have to do semi-insulated on that because that thing just rips through wood. And hickory's not cheap, so Definitely gonna have to do something with that. Um, it pulled well. You know, we got a 5-gallon water pan in there, and it almost emptied that thing, so it's telling me that that's in the right place. The smoke on the food is really good. The bark looks really good for the short amount of time that we had them in there. Typically, in order to get this type of bark, I'd have to pull my temperatures back and let the meat sit longer. Typically, it causes it to dry out. So that smoker put the bark on this super fast. And now I see why having bigger smokers just makes a tremendous difference. The other nice thing is I can walk away from that smoker for an hour because I can put much bigger splits in it. So that's super awesome. If I need to do stuff around the house, I got the grass mowed today. So game changer for me. One thing I do want to say though, this little guy right here, I know everyone's probably seen these if you're into smoking. I've trashed 2 of these here really quickly. They got kind of semi-wet in a little bit of a rainstorm that hung around outside, and I don't know if this thing will come on or not, but now it just comes on and nothing happens. And they didn't really get that wet, so I'm a little irritated about that. So anytime I have issues with products or something that doesn't really work out that well, I'm gonna throw it on here just to save someone else some headache. And you know, maybe the water rating on these isn't as good as I think they're supposed to be, but their small probes work really well and they're at a really good price. But that I've trashed 2 of those in a very short amount of time, so definitely want to throw that out there. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the channel again. All the comments, everybody giving suggestions and throwing stuff up there, really appreciate that. People are subscribing, commenting on stuff, and it's really awesome to just kind of see the community of people that are out there, and all the advice. Just thank you everybody for everything that you've thrown out there, and you know, we're really grateful. And for people checking out the channel and subscribing makes a big difference, and it allows us to keep doing this. So if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, send some comments in there. Really want to know what people are looking for. If you have something that you're like, hey man, have you ever cooked this, or will you cook this, throw it in there. We'd love to see it. Might give it a try. So yeah, until next time, keep them burning.